Hey everyone, it's Jason again. I don't know why that's there, but there you go. So it's me again. We're back again with good old Quora, our favourite daily reading of the day. We seem to always get a lot of excitement from this. Um, and I always find it pretty fun as well because you never know what you're going to come up with. Um, and I'm gonna do one where I take the advice of a friend, or better put, 100% of my viewership. So I'm going to actually go ahead and read the answers, or at least some of them, after I've given my own ideas. One women into bed. I've also decided this time for your pleasure to expand my face so that you can see me in all my glory, my big mane. So first of all, let's have a look what we've got on Quora today. What are the 10 most important things one needs to know about being over 60? And obviously, I'm not over 60 quite yet, so I can't say that I would have an intuitive knowledge of this, but I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll name about 5. So number 1, it might depend on either if you're male or female. You want to look out for things like prostate or breast cancer. Do the necessary checks as you can. Also, your stools want checking, so I guess that's number 2. You'll normally get some stool sample containing in the post. I know any friends who actually told me about this, that once they turn 60 that happens. Bus passes, I think they also become a thing, so that's a third thing. You normally get a bit grey. You can expect it becoming grey. That's what happens. Your hair goes grey. Wrinkles, they're just a thing now you've got to deal with. No amount of Botox or makeup or anything is really going to cover them up. So embrace it. Oh, I've got 5 so far. Maybe I can go further with this. What else? Invest in a good heavy duty walking stick. It's always good to have one around, and they might go up in value as they become more sought after. Now, also note, and I guess this is number 7, that if you neglected to have children while you're younger, you may end up growing up rather lonely, or at least take care of someone in the community that can actually pay that care back to you in your old age. Also, your immunity when you're older becomes a problem. It's lessened, right? So have flu injections, have maybe pneumonia needles, get some booster vaccinations and what have you. That's something you want to pay attention to. I think as you get older as well, particularly that age, you really want to start, if you didn't start earlier, then you better start then. Pay more attention to your diet, right? You really want to make sure you get that in shape, because by that age, you're really at risk of dying from being negligent in that regard. You want to make sure that you're eating healthily. There are so many people that think that they can eat the way they were eating in their 20s, and they carry that forward into their 60s, and then they're dead by their mid-60s. So it's that's something you really want to consider. And what am I on number 10? And so number 10 would also be to bear in mind that you're not in your nimble young age. Don't try to overdo it. Don't go on sprints. Don't think of yourself as being invincible like you once maybe were. Remember, your bones are brittle, and you need to pay attention to that. Okay, so let's have a little look at what answers we got from them. So we've got you'll eat less and food will be less tasty, so you have to be more delicate in what you eat, especially in protein. So they seem to say that you don't need as much protein, which is almost the standard, because your muscles are deteriorating by that point. They're no longer really rebuilding themselves. Your teeth will probably go to hell. Be ready cosmetically and functionally. See, that is a thing with 60-year-olds. It never happened to my grandfather. I don't intend it to happen to me, because my teeth are wonderful. They're in an excellent state. I even invested in a good water pick, so I should suspect that with all the care and attention that I bring to my teeth, that they'll be fine. You have to be more careful and deliberate about your daily physical activities you engage in, or in the way that you carry yourself in mundane daily activities. So there you go again. I was already talking about that, so very intuitive, aren't I? What was once bruising could be a bone breaking. See, I mentioned that osteoporosis. It's a long and impressive process, but your body tells you how to adjust. You just aren't 19 anymore. Accept it with resignation and dignity. Have fun, be active, but know your limits and forget what you thought about old people when you were younger. You were right, but now you're one of them. Your muscles will atrophy, so I said that. No matter what you do, your weight training will slow it down. You'll be less strong, slower, and your skin will wrinkle and sag. Well, I said all this. See, my friend says I need to read the answers because I don't give right answers, but it's not quite commensurate with what I'm reading here. My answers are very much aligned with the answers. And spots will show up on your face seemingly suddenly, and nature will generally let you know that you're in decline, and this realization will be rude. Well, nature can't be rude, let's be honest. It has no moral knowledge or cognition of it being rude, and you rail against it. Eventually, you must surrender. What did Winston Churchill say? Never surrender. And he was old, so bollocks. In general, people are less interested in you and ignore you outside of typical economic transactions, of course. So this is what I was saying again. If you don't have children, if you don't have grandchildren because you didn't have children, or what have you, well, just know that that should then be a regret. You're just another old fart unless you're rich or in some way very charismatic. In a way, you become invisible, but when they start calling you sir and open the door for you, accept it graciously. They mean well and are showing respect. Oh my god. I said I didn't look 60, but I obviously do because people call me Sarah already. Shit. You come to really not care what others think of you since there's no reward in pleasing them and they aren't paying attention to you anyway. You seem to have no value to younger people, so do your thing. Oh, come off it. This is just outright wrong. There are so many old people, like Helen Sugar, for example, that people still value. They just manage to maintain a nice, healthy sort of brain, and so that they still provide value. Grandparents, we all love the grandparents. I still love mine. And then this thing here, where it says, there's no, well, I mean, that's true. It says there's no reward in pleasing them. Well, if ever you wanted to see an example of that, just go to a male changing room in a leisure centre and they just walk around naked with their bloody pendulous testicles and their bloody saggy arses hanging out. They don't give a shit. It's really embarrassing, but to think that one day you could be in the camp of those that are no longer self-conscious is a bit of a horrifying thought. Number 6, usually nobody wants to know your history or hear about your memories. What nonsense, right? I go and I talk to old people and I think that they're some of the most interesting sort of people to talk to because they give you a chance to cast your mind back to how things used to be. It's like, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Do you know, people want to know this sort of stuff. It's wisdom, stuff that they've acquired through their life. I mean, who wrote this? Hear about your memories. You become rather enclosed. You want to share or keep alive and honour all your experiences and the great value they have in your life, but nobody's listening. Oh, get lost. Nobody cares. The world moves on in general, and you kind of understand the distance you had between you and older people when you were young. You don't understand until it's too late, so you accept and forgive. The hardest part for me is encapsulated in the famous line from the movie Blade Runner. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Think about it, it's true, but I'm given to melancholy. So clearly the author of this is somebody who really hasn't actually maintained her ability to actually keep people pleased. And it doesn't sound like they've actually acquired much wisdom in life because nobody is interested in what this person has to say. They are not wise. Really, and how ironic, right? This is how out of touch these people are. She's written this, right? She's claiming that nobody wants to know what people in their 60s have to say, and yet here she has written this article that's the most top-rated answer to this question. What the fuck is she on about? How self-defeating could you? How more self-defeating could you get? Anyway, number 7, related to number 1 above, I find I don't feel thirsty even if dehydrated. So, I mean, by 60 you're dying, aren't you? Again, you have to be rather deliberate and conscious of drinking enough fluids even if you don't particularly want to. I find this weird, but it seems true. Well, I mean, clearly I am 60 because I just have to drink fluids all the time. I mean, I drink so much fluid overnight that I end up sweating. It feels like I've pissed to bed every time I wake up of the morning. I haven't, but that's what it's like. It's drenched in sweat. It's rather annoying, actually. As the sex and libido in general, this varies. I find the idea of passion for anything attenuated. Sex, cooking, eating, hiking, camping, fishing, my other old hobbies, outdoor activities, Christmas, whatever. I took up skydiving. So this person's just got a death wish. I took up skydiving and scuba diving and motorcycles late in life. That's quite funny. Do you know, my nan actually used to drive a motorcycle all the way up into her later life. She's still alive, by the way. So when I talk about my nan in the past tense, that's not because she's dead. She's alive and well. But she used to drive a motorcycle, and it's dead funny because she drove a motorcycle for a very long time, and she managed to get away with 40 years. She would do this, and she'll get to a roundabout. She'll get off the motorcycle and just walk it across, right? You know, like a push bike, basically. To the point where they just said, right, you're a bit of danger to the road, so you can just have a free bus pass. It just goes to show that experience doesn't always equate to competency. Where are we? Enjoyed them, and I should have started them when I was younger. Do that stuff if you can, but I wouldn't expect them to be life-altering events, nor perhaps for the future. Number 9. I honestly feel religious about this, that my proper activity is to learn to die in this to die in this world and be reborn in the spirit, since obviously I'm ever farther from the things of youth and ever closer to bodily death. Well, that's true. The more life you've lived, the more death you've approached. It seems stupid or ignorant to try to hang on to what is already gone, and it seems equally stupid or ignorant to not face honestly what is to come. I hope this is recording. Wait. Okay, so do not go gentle into that good night. Dylan Thomas. This is good advice. I prefer thou go not, like the quarry slave at night. Scourged to his dungeon, but sustained and soothed by an unfaltering trust, approach thy grave, like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him, and lies down to pleasant dreams. And that was by William Cullen Bryant. Number 10, so maybe this last point would be sensible. Okay, it says, as others always say, oh God, this is annoying, my glasses are dirty. I regret the undone more than the done. Forgive unconditionally yourself and others and everyone and everything. Say yes to whatever is or was or will be. You've never controlled any of it, and you don't know what any of it means, but it's real. See, they're saying that you should just forgive everyone unconditionally. I don't believe that. I think actually you should hold on to past injustices that people have transgressed against you, so I wouldn't agree with that. But to be honest, this I regret the undone more than the done. It almost reminds me of that good old age-old quote, the biggest risk in life is the one you don't take. So remember that, guys. The biggest risk in life is the one you don't take. Boom, boom, boom! So that was one reading of that. Now, where else we go? What is the most depressing American city apart from Detroit? The most depressing area? Oh, good question. What would it be? I've just came up with it. DC, District of Columbia. No, that's most definitely one of the most depressing cities. Doesn't look like anyone's really answered that. But my reason would be, I mean, it's just where you've got this cesspot of politicians and nobody likes politicians because in any case, there's always at least half of them you don't like, so it's going to be depressing. Okay, here we've got, what is x if x squared equals x cubed plus x to the 4 plus 36? Now, I'm very good at maths, but I'm not that good. Or am I? No. It's just a, no, it's a quartic equation. I'd need pen and paper for that one. Sorry, people. I don't have pen and paper with me. I've only got a pen and no paper. It says here, what did you see when you died and how did you feel when you came back? Well, I have not died yet. But what I imagine it to be like is that what was it like before I was born? Before I was born, I was dead. And so I came back the minute I was born. So maybe actually I have been dead, but I've never died. So I wouldn't know what the dying process is exactly like, except to say that I'm every day that goes by is another day closer to death. Even the person writing this, right? It's just a stupid question to ask somebody because it would be impossible for anyone to ask. I didn't die, but I know 2 people who were declared dead who came back. Bullshit! You're not declared. You haven't came back to life, right? From the dead. You've been declared falsely dead. You were mistaken to have been dead, right? Brain dead is very well defined. Your medulla is cut off, right? No longer is intact and functional, and so there's no ability to reawaken. Yeah, you can have seizures all you like. I know loads of people have seizures, but they're not bloody dead. Okay, so that obviously is a stupid answer, whatever it's going to be. What is the deepest you've had someone inside? What is the deepest you've had someone inside you? Well, I know a lot of women can answer this question pretty easily because they've had babies pretty deep inside their wombs. I'm not a woman, so I've never been able to get pregnant, so I wouldn't know what that's like. I would say that though when I was in my mum's womb, I was probably about, say, half a foot up there. She said I tried to climb her rib cage, said I needed to perform a cesarean. So I don't know how a man would answer that question. Is it to do with like how? Let's just read the answer and see where we go. I'm 20 and guys tell me I'm sexy. Ooh, do they know? I'm slender and 120 pounds. 120 pounds. Long dark hair. My brother Rob came to town to visit and brought two of his friends, Tony and Max. Max was a big bruiser of a guy, but had a great sense of humour. Tony was athletic, also very funny, but also very playful. Our town has a lot of tourists who come white water rafting, and I work as a guide when it's in season. They pay a lot for a river ride, and most of the folks don't think I can handle a raft until they see me in action. They are in town for the week and spend every walking moment at the river, up at dawn, back well before dark, hardly ever saw them. The day before their last day with me, the morning Rob and Max had already left, but Tony was in the front room with a bandaged leg. Seems a root had slashed his flesh, and he'd gotten it stitched and stapled, but the doc said no more river runs for him. We got to talking, and he said he'd had a great time. Thanks for letting us crash. I made him breakfast, and we cruised the channels for something to watch. He landed on a pay-per-view sex channel and made the purchase. I objected to the cost, but he whipped a 20 from his pocket to pay for the movie. Well, the story was about a bunch of guys and girls on a river raft trip, and every time they turned around, one was fucking one, oh my god, or more of the others. It was sexy but also hilarious. We made fun of the situations until the fucking started. Long story short, the bulge in his pants was humongous. I've never seen one so big. I asked him if he was having an issue, and he said he had it under control. I brushed my hand over, and he issued an like it turned him on. I keep a cache of lubricant for when I use my vibrator, so I grabbed a bottle and a towel and told him I'd take care of it for him if he never told Rob or Max, and he gleefully agreed. I had to work to wrangle it out of his pants, big and thick at the base. Big and thick. Shut up. I'm going to try and read this maturely, right? I am the sex guru. Big and thick at the base, with a head bigger than golf ball, like a mushroom, and covered with veins like vines running up a flagpole, and he wasn't completely hard yet. I helped him off with his pants, and we got the towel under him, and I massaged him with the lube. I have strong hands, so he wasn't really enjoying it. I watched that thing grow from about 6 inches into 8, and then to 10. I thought it had reached max when it went to 12. It kept growing longer than my forearm. How big does it get? My eyes were wide. 15 inches, he said softly. Oh, let me do that. 15 inches, he said softly. I believed it, and rock hard like a broomstick. Oh man, thoughts were racing through my head like a locomotive. I went down on him but could not get it more than halfway down my throat. He told me I don't have to take it all. I kept trying, but I think he thought I would hurt myself. I climbed onto his lap and continued the hand massage. His cock's head touched my tummy at the rib cage. I imagined it was going inside me all the way, practically into my stomach and out of my throat, it seemed. I climbed onto it and let it penetrate me while rocking, itching deeper with each rock. Take your time, he said. Yeah, right, take my time. At this rate, I won't have it all the way in before dusk. So I worked a little harder and sank it completely. 15 inches felt like all the way to my lungs. Nothing has ever been deeper. I rocked on him until I felt lightheaded and swooned. When I came to, oh, Jesus Christ, it's not even like the traditional word, but the new one. When I came to, he was giving it to me doggy style with me thrown over the back of the sofa, facing the coffee table and television. The woman on the screen was getting it from behind too. He was pounding me hard enough to make the sofa move, and that things a sleeper sofa with a whole bed underneath it. That cock ripping in and out was sending me into the stratosphere. He snatched the lubricant and relubed without missing a stroke and stepped up the frequency. It was mind-blowing. He pulled out before he popped, and the first spurt went past my head and splattered on the coffee table. The next one hosed down my hair and back. This is why I don't read the answers. I mean, this is the sort of nonsense you get. I mean, I hope my friend's happy, proud of this. He put it back inside me and pumped some more and popped again, and I could feel it running off my back and down my sides. He snatched a towel and dried me off and put it back inside, this time pumping at an insane velocity. The bloody choice of words. When he popped, it shot past the coffee table onto the carpet, and the rest went into my hair and back. He pulled me into a soul kiss and told me he'd clean up the mess. I took a shower and thought it would never be the same again. So I go from thinking that this question was pertaining to how deep something is being inside you, like a baby, because I mean like that in pregnancy, of course. But as this turns out, that the person had probably a rather dirty mind, and it turned out to be in a sexual context after all. Why do some people lead a relatively easy life while others struggle all their life? Well, this is a combination of what we call the bell curve, a spectrum of range of abilities, and a little bit of luck to go with it. But apparently there's a 99% of the secret. It says, one moment. It says here, this will probably blow your mind. It's the greatest kept secret. So apparently we've got somebody who's enlightened here, ready to enlighten us. 99% of the world is under the illusion that some people are luckier than others, have an easier time than others, and so forth. People who live this with this notion believe that they are far more fortunate, whilst others are not. As a result, millions of people live under the illusion that one day they'll get lucky, a break, lottery, jackpot, you name it, promised land. What misconception? Of course, this is all bullshit created by Hollywood movies, fiction writers, and the media to hype the idea that some people are luckier than others. It's the biggest lie ever told. That's why there's a multi-billion-dollar gambling industry. That's why there's a multi-billion-dollar betting industry. Did you know that 90% of the world's wealth is controlled by 1,000 families? You heard that right. 1,000 families. Can you believe it? Strangely, those families did not get there by stroke of luck. As you might imagine, they worked hard, and many of them faced many odds, failure and rejection to get there. Well, let me put it this way to you, cunt. How about the genetic lottery, right? At some point in their life, they were lucky to have been born with such a high IQ, with such the temperament to be conscientious, that they could actually go ahead and carry out these achievements. So don't tell me that it has nothing to do with luck. Even for those who aren't lucky, they were lucky at one point in the conception of them, where their parents were very smart and the genetic variance led to their very high abilities, and they were able to succeed in life for that reason. Don't dare tell me otherwise. Sad when you bloody have to read the answers out and you realise how dumb they are. Whom do you feel sorry for, and why do you feel sorry for them? I feel sorry for, what's their name? Let's have a little look, get a good idea. Flavia Mwaswi. Doesn't even have a pronounceable name, and that's another thing I feel for. So that's another reason why I feel sorry for them. Why did most working class British voters support Brexit? I think that answer should be partly obvious. I mean, for one, the working class sector feels kind of like their roles in society are being replaced by this ever-expanding bureaucratic state of the EU, and so they want to see it end. And let me see if this answer can even enlighten us. God, did you have to put like the whole life story on? Oh my bloody God. Why do you need an answer this long? Can't you just summarise at one point? Let's have a look at their conclusion. That's what is when people use terms like racist and xenophobe so liberally toward people they know so little about. It is hate speech, nothing less. How do you define hate speech, eh? Tell me that. Is it in the eye of the beholder, or is it an objective way of measuring it? I would like to know, asking for myself and others. What hurts you the most? What hurts me the most? I thought you'd never ask. Psychological neglect. Everyone knows that there's really nothing worse that anyone can experience than this socio-economic ostracism. We can endure being tortured by our peers if we feel that we're at least providing some utility for somebody else. But if we're just to be neglected by everyone and anyone, if we're to be in a state where we're not even, our very being, our very existence isn't being acknowledged, then that is probably one of the most psychologically tormenting modes of being that anyone can ever undergo. Nothing is worse than being than like ghosts, for example. The concept of ghosts was invented to scare the shit out of people. The idea that you could be experiencing an eternity in a world that doesn't even know you're there. Yeah, nothing really scares people more than the very thought of that. That's where the notion of ghost comes from. And then again, this is why we don't read the bloody Quora answers. You see, if it was my friend watching this now, I'd be like, read the answer! And here we go. My ex forces his penis in my unlubricated anus during a double penetration session. Yes, you read that right. It hurt like a knife cutting through my skin. But here we go. She still did it. And it is a woman, isn't it? What? Let's name and shame. Jane Kamamawan, right? So this Thailand woman, it had to be Thailand, didn't it? This Thailand woman, right, who goes ahead and has this done, actually finds that preferable to being ignored, otherwise she wouldn't get it done, right? So she would have actually found it worse that there wouldn't actually be anyone expressing any utility or attention or any use of her whatsoever than having not had that at all. So it just goes to show you, no matter how much you think you're in pain by being incivility to somebody's sadism, you still think that that's preferable than being ignored in its entirety. So that's why what I said, my answer is superior to her answer, because it actually pans out in reality. If something hurted you like that, you wouldn't do it, right? So there you go. Simple as that. As a psychopath, what age did you first notice that you were different? I have a feeling that, I don't know what it is about this Quora, but when I read through it, it seems to assume that I'm a psychopath. Because look, who's asking these questions? Why are they jumping the gun? It's like they're assuming a sale that we already know you're a psychopath, and let's not even discuss the merits of that. Let's just go straight to, what age do you think it began? Well, let me tell you this, right? Even though in my previous video I said that everyone's a psychopath to some degree, that obviously does vary on a spectrum. I'm nowhere near as psychopathic to at least the degree that we would actually call it a psychopath in today's standards, right? And so let's see what their answer is. Let's see who's the silly Let's see which silly psychopath is so honest about the social perceptions of her that she's willing to actually say she's a psychopath. So she says, at 5, when I started school, I could not understand why the other kids did what they did. Their behaviour confused me. Some seemed idiotic and did not have a desire to intermix. Around 8 to 9, I realised I had never lost a staring eye contest. I've never lost a staring eye contest. Oh my god, have I been a psychopath since 8 and 9? And could not for the life of me figure out how come everyone, child and adult alike, couldn't keep from blinking for more than 30 to 40 seconds. This made me wonder if I had other physical abnormalities. From about 10 to 13, I spent a great deal of time in the library trying to make life and society logical, sensical, natural instincts, social pressure, heritage. The world had a big secret and it eluded me. Around 14 to 15, I discovered that if I acted like a happy moron, I was less likely to be harassed, beat up by others. It never hurt my feelings. It was just inconvenient, annoying, and perplexing. This is when I started really people watching and working out my mask. Oh, she describes this as a mask. The mask. Is the mask going to come off? I suppose there was always a sense that I didn't fit right. Let me just do something. I just need a sip of water. A piece missing that I couldn't figure out. Before most of my childhood, I did not really care to remedy that or delve further into why others thought I was so odd when they were obviously the defective ones. I mean, here you have is this self-righteous kind of way of thinking where she feels like it's everyone else's who is at fault and it couldn't be anything to do with themselves that might be astray. Real understanding did not fully click until I took my girlfriend to a family function at 20. Afterward, she posed what I thought at the time was an odd question. The general conversation went as follows. Are you aware that you're an entirely different person with your family? Well, yeah, it's not like I can be the same person around grandma as I am at a frat party. Everyone acts different with their family. Yes, they do, but not that different. They might use different language or wear grandma approved clothes, but they are still them. Sorry, I got stomach issues actually at the moment. You're not just less you are a completely different person. I felt like I was spending a day with a stranger. Are you aware you do that? Like, oh my god, are you aware you do that? Yes, but you do it too. You're different in class than you are at a party, and even more so when it is just us. Not that different. Why do you think? See, all this is just subjective, bloody psychoanalyzing people. Sorry, I need to burp a lot today. Because it is just what you have to do. I get up in the morning, think about where I have to go, and put my personality on with my close school, where from yada yada yada, and different people and deal with different things and yada yada yada. No, babe, they don't know. Oh my god, can we just get over this conversation already? Until that moment, I'd believed I was different because I didn't know I was supposed to fake it until my teens. I was so antisocial and unwilling to interact with others prior to college. It honestly never occurred to me that my odd quirks are something fundamentally abnormal. It was more than 10 years before I realised it was a biological, physiological, genetic thing, and several more people that I discovered under the term psychopath. I'd also believed that there was mass murdering nut jobs, not nerds who stay up all night doing math problems, have fun. I still put my personality on with clothes, but others with a mask, yada yada yada. Just having to skim it now because it's really, really boring me. She talks about the subjective concept of mask. Let's say a conclusion. My mask isn't about needing acceptance. It is about keeping up a public persona that allows me to continue in my chosen profession and live the life I want with the level of comfort I desire. I can walk around unmasked and work in fast food, or I can do it up and rake it in a decent salary. However, none of that is relevant to the question presented. Yeah, of course, it's not fucking relevant because you're a sociopath, not a psychopath. In fact, you are a psychopath because if you weren't a psychopath, you wouldn't have put me down this whole bloody nonsense essay just to waste my time for fun. So, yeah, you are a psychopath. Confirmed. We know it. She actually proved she was a psychopath by the way she answered it. She answered it by making it seem like she was going to answer it, concluding that her answer isn't relevant to the question, and proving, after all, she is a psychopath, and she's a psychopath because she's willing to waste people's time. Here we go. Is it possible? Is it possible that someone has already invented time travel, figured how dangerous it was, and destroyed their time machine? Well, let's put it this way: time travel. I mean, we're talking about time travel in the past, right? No, because you'd be creating a paradox. Einstein, good old Einstein, the man of the century, times person of the century, has already worked out that E equals mc squared. That's the energy equivalence to maths, right? Now, what we've got to remember is that nothing can exceed the speed of light. If it does, it goes back in time, but we can't go back in time because we can't exceed the speed of light, right? And so this question is theoretically impossible, and what doesn't work in theory works worse in practice. So no. And even if it were the case that someone could go back in time, they could go back in time, kill themselves, as to then stop themselves having been able to produce the time machine at all, and then they would be in a situation where how would they ever have gone back in time again to go and kill themselves? It wouldn't make sense. But let's see what their answer is, because yes, not only is it possible, it has actually happened. What utter crap. What's the most disgusting fact that you know? Oh, let me just think that through. Okay, I've just managed to think of it. The most disgusting fact that I know, the one I really hate but have to accept because I have to adhere to logic and facts, don't I, is that morality is only construed and not ontologically objective. That is a very hard pill to swallow. You want to believe that such a thing is written in stone that occurred from the Big Bang or whatever, or wherever. But actually, as it turns out, humans have to construct and compile and negotiate their own morality with each other. And that is a disgusting thing. It would be so much better, and so much better, if such a thing was, say, something that could violate the alt is conundrum. What is 90 times 0 minus 2? Well, that's minus 2. Have you ever lost your swim suit, bottoms, swim trunks while swimming. Now, I've been lucky never to lose them, but I'll tell you what, we've come close. I've dived in water before, and I neglected to remember to actually tighten them, and so they've actually gone down to my ankles, and so I was bare arsed, but I was submerged in the water, and luckily I was fortunate enough to realise that before anyone else realised it, and so I was able to make myself decent again in time. Sociopaths, what kind of messed up things did you do as a kid? Well, I could answer that, but that would be at the cost of my reputation. What is the dark secret in your life? I don't actually have a dark secret, unless you want to count my thing here as a secret, but it's not a secret because lots of people know. Out of it, well, the facts are extremely scary to them, and that's kind of like the question I just had. This one here, I mean, it's actually a really easy one. It says, how do you thank... We'll end on this one. It seems simple enough, actually. I've been going at this now for like, well, almost half an hour. This question is, how do you thank a colleague who drives me every day 60 to 7-minute long ride to work and back and doesn't want anything in return? Just say this to him. Thank you. And we're done.